Dave Edwards here, your personal songwriting coach. In this session, I want you to actually observe a song being written so you can see the creative process for yourself. And this is a pretty rare thing that I'm giving you. I mean, who will let you watch them writing a song? I'll tell you from the beginning, one of the big things you'll get out of this session is you'll have to be able to listen to a jam track over and over and over and not get bored with it. And you're going to be looking for just 5 to 7 great notes of a melody to sing on top of it. As we've already mentioned, one of our highest goals for these video sessions is to allow you to borrow the experience of others so that when you write your first song or your next song, it can be one of your best songs. There are 2 ways to gain experience. You can stumble through by trial and error and gain personal experience. Nothing wrong with that. It just takes a long time. Or you can borrow experience by imagining yourself doing it now. And here's the thing. The science of psychology tells us that our subconscious, our belief system, can't tell the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. What we are working on here is you believing that you can write a song. That's the first key to unlocking the door to your potential. So as you observe, imagine that it is you experiencing writing a great song. Glenn Frey, the famous Eagles songwriter, has said that he learned to write songs by observing the process. By the way, Glenn Frey and Don Henley are the songwriters for the Eagles, and the Eagles own the distinction of having had the best-selling album of the 20th century. So that's who I'm talking about when I'm talking about Glenn Frey. So let's borrow some Glenn Frey experience and make it our own. He said that he was lucky enough to have an apartment above Jackson Browne, where he heard him writing songs. It was a revelation to realize that the process was really about the ability to create a groove or jam track and play it over and over until a melody began to emerge. Perhaps one of the greatest songwriters of all time would never have written all those hit songs if he had not had the experience of observing songs being written. That's the experience I want to give you now. Creating music starts with jamming. This just means repeating a simple chord progression, a groove, a jam track. Typically, this has meant you had to spend years to learn to play keyboard or guitar well enough to be able to jam so that you could find a new sound or groove. Or like Mariah Carey, have a piano player who could play that sound or groove for you. Obviously, if you have other players you can play and jam with, I would encourage you to jam and try to find a new sound. But you always have Jam Studio, a virtual band, ready to play anytime. So there are 2 steps. We start by finding a jam track we like, and then we begin to sing a new tune on top of that jam track. We want a jam track that's in a style we like. An easy way to get started with Jam Studio is just click Favorite Artist and find an artist that plays in a style we like. I'm going to choose James Taylor, and then I click Make a Song in this style. This will give us a good starting point with the kind of instruments James Taylor would use already loaded into our mixer. We need some chords. In another session, we're going to go into detail on chord progressions. It's really no big deal. It's not like you have to know a ton of advanced music theory. In fact, Don Henley said he took a course in beginning music theory in college and failed it, but he was a great songwriter, so you don't have to know a lot of music theory. Here's all you need to know. Basically, there are some well-known chord progressions that just work. I'm going to start with this one. Now, this is not any particular song yet. It only becomes a song when I can sing a new tune or melody on top of this track. So any number of people could write different songs with this jam track. It's the melody that's unique. Nobody owns these chords. Once we have a jam track that we like, we want to step into the room with the feelings that this music is evoking. Then we're just looking for a few notes of a melody, usually just 5 to 7 notes. Keep it simple. This is not that hard. We can sing by humming or saying la la la, or we can use nonsense words, words that we'll replace later. We don't want to think of what song this sounds like. We want to position our minds to begin listening for the new song that's in there. I like to say that creating music is like remembering a song for the first time. So I just have to get into the creative space where this music lives. I want to feel it. We're going to talk a lot more about that. For now, just know that this creative zone that we're in is not only where songs come from, it's where stories come from. It's like seeing a movie in your head. I'm going to tell you the Glenn Frey story in his own exact words. Just getting into the storytelling mode will bring you closer to being able to create your own song. Here are the words of Glenn Frey. I didn't really know how to write songs. I knew I wanted to write songs, but I didn't know how exactly. Do you just wait around for inspiration? What was the deal? Well, I learned through Jackson Ceiling and My Floor exactly how to write songs. Jackson would get up and he would play the first verse and first chorus, and he'd play it 20 times until he had it just the way he wanted. And then there'd be silence, and I'd hear the teapot go off again, and then be quiet for 10 or 20 minutes. Then I'd hear him start to play again, and there was a second verse. So then he'd work on the second verse, and he'd play it 20 times. He'd go back to the top of the song, play the first verse, first chorus, and the second verse another 20 times until he was really comfortable with it. And change a word here and there. And I'm up there going, so that's how you do it. Elbow grease, time, thought, persistence. Your breakthrough today is the same as Glenn Frey's was. You have to play the thing 20 times and then stop and work on some words and then come back and play it 20 more times. Let that sink in. Allow yourself to be able to move into the creative space that this jam track has created. Tell yourself that you can listen 20 times. You are willing to do the work. Once you find a few good notes of a tune, just keep repeating it until they beg you to change them just a little bit. I'm going to do that now. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Awesome. Just 5 good notes. Let's try some nonsense words. I feel the music. I feel the rhythm. I see you dancing in my mind. We're on our way. The trick to borrowing experience is to imagine that it is you listening to that jam track 20 times, and you heard the new tune that goes on top of it. Don't just see someone else doing it. See yourself doing it and getting results. Then, in your imagination, you already know how to write songs. You've already written one. Now, you can use that experience to write your next one. To tap your ability to create music, nothing is more important than realizing it's already in you. As your songwriting coach, I'm here to bring your ability to life. As you begin to believe you can do it, you will hunger for more knowledge about how to do it well. That's what we're here for.